We are thrilled to have you join us on International Women's Day, a day dedicated to celebrating social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women all over the world. This day is a moment for us to stop and recognize women throughout history and band together for the advancement of women's rights. The purpose of today's session is to introduce our audience, especially the young women in the room, to some amazing technology that we use all the time at Snapchat: augmented reality. We believe it is such a powerful tool for self expression, and when it comes to digital skills, we think it's going to be the technology of the future. Once this hour is up, you will have started on your very own journey creating AR experiences you can share with your friends. Before we begin, a super quick introduction to your hosts. Well, I am Juhi. I lead strategy and business development for Snapchat in India. My hometown is Delhi, and I've been Snapchatting since 2019. I love startups, Bollywood, and street fashion. I also started playing badminton again since we began work from home. Over to you, Kaitlyn.
Thanks, Juhi. My name's Kaitlyn, and I lead Lens Studio support efforts out from our Los Angeles office. I grew up in New York State and have been an avid Snapchatter since 2013. I love cats, crafting, food, traveling, pop music, and New York pizza. I miss it so much out here while in Los Angeles. Just isn't the same. And when I'm not Snapchatting, you can usually find me with my cat Bug, who actually is right here trying to get my attention. Usually she's doing something cute though, so I end up Snapchatting her anyways. So I guess I'm just always on Snapchat.
We first thought it would be helpful to talk about Snap's AR ecosystem. What we mean by that is how all the different parts of our platform fit together around the camera and augmented reality. We will then conduct a Lens Studio workshop in which you will learn how to create your first lens and tell you about some cool prizes up for grabs for the most inspiring creations, including Spectacles 3, Snapchat swag, and some fun cash prizes. We have some time for question and answer towards the end, but please feel free to use the chat if you have questions as we go along, and one of our official Lens creators will answer. Snap is a camera company. We call ourselves a camera company because everything we do revolves around the power of the camera. We believe that reinventing the camera presents an amazing opportunity to improve the way we live and communicate. We build products that allow people to express themselves authentically, learn about the world, and have fun together. One of the ways we do this is through augmented reality, overlaying digital experiences on the world around us. Our most well-known product are lenses. which you can find all over Snapchat in the Carousel, Explorer, and Snap Camera. Now, let's talk about spectacles, our hands-free camera. Spectacles captures your world the way you see it. They are our way to explore how wearable technology can fit into our everyday lives in the future. Let's show you some of what's been made.
I'm Khyati. I'm a communication designer, graphic designer, and a 3D artist. And I'm from India originally, but I live in Munich in Germany. My aim in life was to, or still is, to become the most versatile designer possible. So I keep jumping around from different gamuts of design because I want to explore all the edges of design. I first wanted to understand what I can do with spectacles and also understand AR because it's a completely new discipline for me. Then allow it to give me the idea instead of coming up with the concept. The challenge of bringing or learning from reality and taking it to a virtual place is the tough but exciting bit about 3D. And working with AR, I realized that so much of it feels like magic and play. The fact that I create feel like it's from a set of a fairy tale. I wanted to see if there's something that I can do just to augment that. With spectacles, I was thinking about how me living far away from my home country and also in this stressful time, to be able to send them first-person perspective videos and clips, I felt like I could bring them closer to my everyday life than normal pictures can.
Now to SnapKit. This is simply the way to bring the best of Snapchat into other apps and vice versa. We have different ways of doing this, but some examples here in India are JioSaavn and Ghana, where you can share songs directly from their library into Snapchat, or Balaji, where you can share the best of what you're streaming with your friends, and NDTV, where you can share everything from breaking news to shows, price comparison information, and even your real-time ETA when traveling by train.
We believe our platform and products can only get stronger when we open them up to our creative community. That's why we launched Lens Studio a little over 3 years ago. On Lens Studio, anyone can create and publish their own AR experiences for hundreds of millions of Snapchatters to enjoy. Tens of thousands of creators have already submitted lenses. They've actually together submitted over 1.5 million lenses to date. And our top performing community lenses have reached billions of views on Snapchat. In Lens Studio, you can transform the face or the world with your own 2D and 3D art. You can code custom triggers and interactivity into lenses with JavaScript, or use our visual node-based graphical system called visual scripting. You can create realistic shaders or computer graphics with our material editor. You can work with machine learning by using built-in ML features like our automatic face detection, or bring your own ML models to power your lenses with SnapML. You can test your lenses on the computer, your own device with device simulation, or push to your device on Snapchat. And finally, you can manage and review all of your submitted lenses within My Lenses. We've seen lenses created for fun and play, but also to help learning, instruction, and education. There are also countless themes you can discover, like fashion, art, education, food, gaming, music, entertainment, and more. With baked-in tracking features of faces, floors, walls, markers, and even international landmarks, it has never been easier to dive straight into lens creation. So why don't we together go and build our first lens together? Now we are ready to start the demo. So I went ahead and I'm going to show you the download flow. So currently you should be able to see that we're on the Lens Studio website. And if you haven't downloaded Lens Studio before, this is where you can go. Well, to learn way more about Lens Studio than what we'll be able to cover today in our entire hour period. But also, the key jumping off point is downloading Lens Studio, obviously, itself. So you can download Lens Studio by going to lensstudio.snapchat.com or lensstudio.com, and then clicking on this download button in the top right. You'll then see the system requirements for Windows or Mac. You should go through, read the terms, and agree to them as well. And then you just agree to them by clicking on this box. You can put in your email address should you want marketing to reach out to you with all of the amazing latest and greatest new updates that we have coming forth. And then you can download for Mac or for PC, depending on what you have. So once you've downloaded the tool, if it's your first time downloading it, you'll land on our start screen page. Obviously, it's actually not even if it's your first time downloading it, you'll land on the start screen page. But if it's your first time landing on it, what you'll actually see is a request to go through a tutorial to make your birthday lens. And this is something that's always available, and perhaps maybe this is your second time going into it and you skipped over it. I'm actually going to ask for everyone to skip over it again so I can go straight into the demo. I'll try to get as in-depth as the tutorial would give as well. And in case you're ever curious, you can always go to Help, Start Tutorial in order to see it in the future. But yeah, for now, we're going to go into my specific demo. Hope you don't mind. It'll be catered for you all. And before I get into it, I'll just pause a little bit on the start screen as well. So we're always highlighting our latest and greatest templates that we've just offered into Lens Studio. So with 3.4, we added a lot of more body tracking and hand tracking elements. So you'll see templates for that there as well. You can search through like all templates at once. You can search like depending on skill level or what type of lens that you're looking for. Highly recommend that you go through all the different lens experiences. And then you have links. I was on the website before, but you can go straight to it by clicking on the documentation there. You can go to the forum where you can ask additional questions from our creator community. And then you can report bugs and crashes. We actually highly recommend that you submit through this form within the app so that we can collect all of the data of your computer so that we can specialize into whatever issue that you're running into. Otherwise, we need to ask all your computer details to make sure that Lens Studio can actually run on your computer anyway. So report an issue through here. It'll definitely make your life easier when you run into those issues. But yeah, I'll go back to the home, and also can call it the start screen banners. We usually highlight new tools or announcements or new features that are available up here, so you can definitely scroll through those. But I'm actually going to lead you through one of our beginner templates today. I thought it'd be interesting, one, to start with a template that we've had since the beginning, and maybe it's been a while since people have seen it. And two, I thought it made a lot of sense as we'll soon be talking about the future lenses that we hope that you will create with the Lens-a-thon. So details to come really shortly on that. But the lens that I'm going to ask you to create today is a vision board. So think about your future, who you want to be, and you would be able to have this like vision or dream board with you no matter where you go, because it's an augmented reality. So you'll be able to, you could always have it in your carousel if you want, and perhaps like check things off in AR as you go along with it. So we're going to start with that by starting a new project from templates. So I went into the tooltip bar at the top, or I guess the menu bar at the top, and then we're going to select a new project from template. Again, I showed you how in the start screen you can look at a bunch of templates. Here's another way in which you can do it, and we're going to go into 3D and then picture frame. And don't be worried that's under that I went underneath 3D. You don't actually need any 3D modeling experiences to follow along with this demo. Again, it's super beginner, and I'm going to be walking you through the tool itself before I even get into making your own first lens. So, all right, hopefully by now you guys are on this starting of the lens screen, not the actual start screen of Lens Studio. There's a lot of panels and stuff, but I hope you're not too intimidated, because it's not as bad, I would say, as it looks, or maybe it's really familiar to you because you have already the 3D and 2D experiences from other software. So we did try to make it as similar and comfortable as those other 3D editing tools and 2D editing tools so that you'll be able to navigate it a little bit more easily. But if not, don't worry, I'm about to walk through it. So the first thing I want to call out are all the different panels that exist in Lens Studio. So we'll start with the object panel in the top left. This is where you can set like render order and see all of the objects that are actually in your lens experience. And you can also add new objects by clicking on this plus button. We have I mentioned all the tracking capabilities and whatnot. This is one of the ways in which you can kind of see all that's possible with Lens Studio by just going through all of the different objects that you can add. And then kind of hand in hand with objects is our resources panel. So this is where you can find all the materials, scripts, textures, meshes that you can use in your lens experience, as well as upload your own. So that's something that we'll get to later when we're actually building out the lens experience. We'll have to upload our own resources in order to incorporate them into the lens experience and any experiences in the future, obviously. So I want to call out as you start thinking about it, like we do need to include our own resources. I went ahead, and you can see in this bottom left corner, and created a little vision board for myself. But perhaps as I go through this and you're just kind of listening along, or maybe it's not your first time in Lens Studio, maybe think about your camera roll or things that you already have on hand of, I guess, goals and visions that you hope to go towards, and you can be able to leverage those assets within the lens experience. Also, if you have any questions, please utilize the chat feature. We're here to help, and we'll try to answer along as much as possible. We have some fellow lens creators on the line of all different specialties, and so they should be able to help as well as I continue to go through this. Anywho, one other thing I want to call out in terms of resources, I told you to think about your camera roll or any sort of assets that you have. We also have an integration with Giphy. So if you click on the plus in the resources panel here, and then on this little Giphy icon here, you'd be able to launch our Giphy integration. You can search for any sort of sticker that you want. And so perhaps that could be your vision board in itself, just like one sticker that symbolizes who you want to be, where you want to go, how you want to feel. So just think on those as you start to think about this lens experience. So next to the resources panel, we have scene config, and this is where you can indicate what is actually live on the screen when you're playing with the lens experience versus what is captured. So this is very important for UI elements. That's a little bit more advanced lens creation, but you can go between like render target and as well as like what is the live target of your what is shown in the camera. So I'm going to go back to resources and then talk about the scene panel. So we have both 3D and 2D scene depending on what you're incorporating. It probably makes sense, but when you incorporate a lot of 2D elements, you would mainly probably be in this 2D scene. So I don't have any right now, so I'm a little bit far from it, but you'd be able to manipulate this or any objects that you have that are related into the 2D scene space. And then for those that are familiar, you can navigate either by using these tools in the top, I guess, menu bar, or you can, I like to use a scroll wheel, and here's my wireless ergonomic mouse that I like to use to scroll around. You can pan by holding space bars to get around, or holding like the Alt or Option key to orbit around the space. You can zoom in, you can zoom out, again with the scroll bar, and you can also select objects. So again, you can see something was selected once I clicked on different objects in the scene, and you can like zoom into them by double clicking. And yeah, you'll be able to select objects within the scene space as well as in the objects panel. Once you have selected an object, you'll see some changes within the inspector panel. And so this is where you add a bunch of components to your lens experience to really add like the interactivity and the customization that is difficult to achieve just manipulating within this 3D and 2D space. So here we have, this is a part of the template. We have a picture frame controller, which is a script component, and it incorporates a script component, materials, textures, and it just makes it easy for new people to dive into the tool because the fields are already preset for you. There we go. I zoomed in too far. So this was the script component. I was on the image before. My bad. But here you can see the script component. And then you can, again, manipulate objects through the inspector panel. And then below the 2D scene, we have logger. So this will really come into play when you do more scripting elements. And so if you have a lot of tests, it's very important to debug within the logger to make sure that it's working as expected. And then finally, one of my favorite panels is the preview panel where you get to see what your lens actually looks like in the space. So we have several previews already that you can use. So right now I have stairs, but we also have this kind of like tree model, and then you can move as if you were using Snapchat, but it's on your computer and into this 3D space and kind of navigate there. You can also use your webcam, which won't quite make sense. And you can see like I'm here because this is a world lens that we're going to be creating today with a 3D object, and it doesn't have to do with the face. I'm going to keep it in this kind of preview panel, which is our pre-existing videos. Also, what's really cool is you can simulate, again through device simulation, all the different phones and sizes. So what's really cool about Snapchat, or in Lens Studio in particular, I guess, is creating lenses that work for all sorts of phone. That's what's cool about Snapchat. It works, the augmented reality works on all sorts of phones. So you're not just creating for Apple devices or just creating for like Samsung devices or Android devices. You get to create for a whole host of different phones, and you can see that even through the different devices that we have here. Not only phones, you can also test for snap camera if your lens is making sense, instead of like submitting and testing it in the tool itself. So we don't expect you to have all the different phones. You can just use device simulation here. And also, probably the coolest part is previewing in Snapchat itself. So in this top right corner, you can see preview in Snapchat. All you have to do is to pair your device with Lens Studio is scan this snap code, and the way you do that is you take your phone, again obsessed with cats, hover over it while you're in Snapchat, press and hold, and then it should integrate with Lens Studio pretty much automatically. Once you have scanned, then you would press push to device anytime you make any changes, so that you can see what it looks like in real time in your phone, see the AR off the bat. It's super exciting. I highly recommend that you do that. Awesome. So now, we walked through all of the existing panels. I do want to call out, in case like you're playing around, it's pretty interesting. You can put panels in different places. You can delete panels and whatnot. But if you ever get kind of like lost in this space and it doesn't look like what I'm showing here, you can go Window, Panels, Default Layout, and it'll go straight back to where all of our templates and tutorials kind of start out, so you can feel a little bit more familiar with the space. But highly recommend that you customize it. There's actually a couple windows or panels that aren't shown for more advanced lens creation, and so that includes more advanced scripting as well as material editor, where you're creating your own custom materials and shaders. You would do that in these panels that aren't a part of the default layout at all. And of course, you can learn more about all of that within Lens Studio's website, where we just were for downloading the website, or forums and guides and all that great stuff. Cool. So now that we've went through Lens Studio as a whole and all the different panels, let's get into the really fun part, which is customizing our lens experience and submitting your first lens. So I'm going to start by clicking on the picture frame controller object, which I think was already kind of selected in the inspector panel, but in case you've been clicking around, make sure to click on this object, the one that says Edit Me, so that the components will appear in the inspector panel. And so one of the first things I'm going to play around with is the frame itself. So we have 3 frames here, and I like this frame C because it has a star on it, and because this is a vision board, we're going to be reached for the stars, so might as well include those in our frame. I'm going to keep it glossy rather than matte, just because I want it to be shiny like a star. And then I'm going to change the frame color to black just to have that high contrast between my gold star and my frame. You can also manipulate the scale, so make the frame bigger or smaller as you please. I'll just kind of keep it as it is. And then you can see there's automatic shadow, which really adds a sense of realism to our augmented reality because it like lights are casting shadows on it. You can manipulate the shadow density here as well. And there's even more advanced features if you want to change out eventually when we get more advanced in lens creation the actual like frame itself. Then we can get into actual this advanced creation, which is really intense. But for now, I'm pretty happy with all the default, I guess not even default, but options that we already have here. It's already customized in so many different ways, but the really special moment is adding your own picture. So to do that, you would click on this field next to the picture kind of call out. And while I can go into existing textures that they have, you can see the picture that's already there. First, I actually need to add my own resource into the resources panel. And there's a couple ways in which you can do that. You can add a new resource, again, utilizing the existing ones that we have or going through your files. But my favorite method is the good old drag and drop. So I'm going to drag and drop my vision board. You can actually see kind of what it looks like. You can see a little preview, how big it is. Yeah, how much memory it takes up, which is super important for lens creation. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I'll go back and include it as my picture. So now you can see, as compared to before, that I'm able to click vision board and go through the resources panel in order to include it as my picture. You can also drag and drop. Again, I'll just be dragging and dropping the same image, so it won't look like it changed, but it did. Onto the vision board, adding that reference there. Now I really have a customized lens that's really particular to me and my personal goals. I'm going to actually pull it a little bit closer so you can see some of the things that I want to lean into feeling and doing in 2021. Highly encourage you to make your own customized lens experience, add your own square image to this frame. As you can see, the image before was, this is a square frame, so I used a 1024 by 1024 pixel image that I made in my 2D software of choice, but of course we welcome so many different images, and you can add so many different resources to within the panel to Lens Studio to include here, but a simple picture honestly we'll just do, especially as we're aiming towards this vision board. You want it to be basically as simple as possible so you can focus on your goals and go towards those. So I do like how my lens is already, and as a next step, again, I encourage you to preview within Snapchat, not just within the device simulation, but to actually like get to see it live. But once you feel comfortable with both of those, the next step is going into project info, which is in this top left, to make sure that the lens has the details that I wanted to. So currently, if I just submitted it off the bat of where it is, the lens name would be picture frame, but no, I want this to be a little bit more customized to my actual lens experience. So I'm going to call it 2021 vision board. This is what I'm shooting towards. A small note: when you are making lens names, you are limited to alphanumeric characters and only 18 of them. So it looks like we hit that, or at least maybe are less than that. It's good to see that our lens is very low in size. We do have a cap and other performance requirements that are listed on our website, but in particular you can see here the maximum lens size is 4 megabytes. If you incorporate machine learning, you can go up to 10 megabytes. We're not getting into that today, but honestly, the smaller the lens size, the better, because it'll just load quicker into Snapchat, and Snapchatters will be able to use it. So that's why we keep it as low as possible. Next, you can see these toggles for lens is made for. And that is maybe slightly confusing. It basically means where do you want the icon to appear within Snapchat. If you want people to be able to see your lens when they open Snapchat into the front camera, then you're going to click that. I'm not going to click that because this is purely a world experience. If they actually opened it on the front camera, it would be kind of a confusing experience because it would there wouldn't be anything showing on the face. So it would look like the lens wasn't working at all, when in reality, I just need people to get to the rear camera. And then you also have the option, I know Juhi talked before about the ability to create lenses on for Spectacles 3, which collects all the depth data. As you can see, I went through this, I guess, rather kind of quickly, but I didn't really consider what it would look like to be into a Spectacles lens, so I'm not going to click on that for now. And then you can also add a customized hint that'll be localized in the language of what the Snapchatter is speaking. So these are a lot of our, I guess, kind of like basic triggers and hints that we have. I don't think any will make sense for me. Maybe like Come Closer could, but I don't have any particular interactions beyond playing with the frame itself, so I'm actually going to leave that blank. And then I'm going to customize it even further by adding my own icon. So you can see I've already incorporated into my folder this vision board icon. So I'm going to, an icon is just like the beginning steps of what your lens might look like. So highly recommend that you customize your icons so that people know what they're getting into when they're starting the lens experience. So in this case, I have 2021 represented because it is my 2021 vision board, so I'm going to apply that. And then I can add my own custom preview or use the ones that are available already within Lens Studio. So we already saw in the preview panel that there are existing previews that I can pull from. I'm going to keep it on the world camera side of things and just utilize this existing one just so people again know what's in store when they lean into using this lens. So this preview would appear in Lens Explorer, which is at like a panel kind of underneath the carousel, where you can look for all community lens experiences and search through them. This would also appear in Snap Camera if this was like a face lens, but it doesn't make sense to use this lens in Snap Camera unless it appeared kind of behind me, but again, it's not really doing that here. So yeah, this was looking pretty good to me. I've set up all of my project info, my project's kind of set, and the next step is publishing the lens. So in the top left corner you will see the Publish Lens button. It's going to take you into Lens, or take you to your browser of choice and ask you to connect to Lens Studio. So this is a submission flow. There are two types of lenses that you can submit: sponsored and community lenses. Sponsored lenses means that you're making an ad and the lens that you're creating will be tied to an ad campaign. Lens Studio is free. Forgot to mention that already. I guess you probably saw it when we went through the download page, but it doesn't cost you anything to submit a lens. It only costs you money when you want to guarantee a certain amount of engagement, which would be made through a business or sponsored lens experience. In this case, we're creating a community lens that'll be available via Snapcode, found within Explorer, discoverable by Snapchatters throughout the application. So you can either submit a new lens or update an existing. So let's say I already had a lens in the world, I could replace the previous creative that I had with this one. And this is important if you want to like keep a certain snap code. Let's say you're putting it into print, it's very important to update the lens. But in this case, I've never submitted this lens before, so I would go to submit new lens. And with lens submission, you can already see it has the icon in the preview that I had before. But I can also incorporate lens tags that help people find your lens. So in this case, let's say people search goals, then it would be more likely that they find my lens experience through that. Maybe if they're looking to be strong, I think. So yeah, I can include up to 8 tags. And then I can also include what's called scan triggers. So this is the ability to pull lens experiences depending on what is scanned in the world. So perhaps you've seen this before, where you can, within Snapchat, you have the ability to scan objects, plants, pets. I think actually we kind of show some default ones. Yeah, so people, and we hope to pull the right lens experience depending on what people are scanning. So I'm gonna see if I could put in, yeah, board. So here, like, let's say somebody scanned a whiteboard, because it looks like I'm writing all my goals on a whiteboard. Then, oh, did it click on it? It seemed to go away. Let me try to type that in again. What is happening? Oh, it already clicked it. I just didn't see it there. When they scan a whiteboard, then this lens could appear from it, which is just really, really exciting, because now you don't have to have the lens or snap code itself, or someone doesn't have to send it to you, but I can just scan objects and things in the world, and the right lenses would appear for me. And then finally, my last option is for visibility. So we have 3 of them. It would be interesting to submit a lens for the first time and turn it offline. That basically means that nobody's able to use the lens experience upon submission. Usually people use offline post creating a lens. Perhaps you were just creating test files, or test lenses, making iterations, sharing it with friends and whatnot, and then you can turn old versions of those offline. And then we also have hidden, which is, again, sometimes people use this for testing as well. You don't want people to be able to find your lenses within search or within Explorer. You don't want it to trend organically, but you still want it to be live so that people can actually test it. So then you would put it as hidden. But in this case, I want this lens to be public. I want people to see it, go with it, have fun with it. So I'm going to submit my lens as public. And yay, this is Swimmy the Panda, in case you didn't know, but my lens is submitted. And within about 5 minutes, basically the lens is going through a review process, including like auto QA to make sure that it is underneath those 4 megabytes, it is hitting all those performance requirements. Actually, sometimes it might not even let you submit if you're not hitting those, but we're just making sure that it works on all sorts of devices. And then within a couple of minutes, I should get an email attached, and you guys too, because you're following along and submitting these lenses, you would get an email indicating that the lens was submitted and good to go and clear and live, and you are free to share it with the world. So yeah, I know I went through this kind of quick, and I do kind of want to remind that there are more resources should you need to look at it again. So if you go to lensstudio.snapchat.com, underneath the Learn section, so I'll get rid of this. This is probably my login. You can go through the template. So in this case, we went through the picture frame template. So again, you could go under world, or yep, picture frame, just like we did in the beginning. There's another video tutorial if you want to see. I actually don't know which engineer walked through it, but another Snapchat employee walking through it in case you need to see this again. Or you can go at your own pace and read the entire guide to see how to do this. Also, you can go to our support page and forum. On the support side, you can see a lot of frequently asked questions or learn how to do other lenses. And then we also have the forum where you can ask any sort of question. If this is your first time joining, you'll see this little welcome message. And yeah, you can ask for new things within Lens Studio, talk about lenses for Spectacles 3. As new beginners, definitely encourage you going into the Getting Started guide. We have even more templates to explore and see what people are creating and asking about. It's awesome to be a part of a community. So thank you so much for participating in this lens, participating with me and creating a first lens. Very excited to walk you through that process. For more inspiration, we wanted to show you some lenses created by some of our women lens creators in India, like Persica, Chanchal, Niyati, Khyati, and Gauri, so you can see what is possible with Lens Studio. Be sure to check out the work of these ladies following our presentation for inspiration for your next lens. Also, Persica, Gauri, and Niyati actually also made demo videos for this event to help you all through your next lens experience. And you should definitely check that out after the workshop. And now I'm going to pass it back to Juhi, who's going to talk through next steps of what is the next lens that you are going to create.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. Now it's your turn. We are partnering with Skillenza to host a Lens Studio Hackathon this International Women's Day. Make your lenses on the theme Choose to Challenge, inspired by the legacy of one of the most incredible astronauts, Kalpana Chawla, who once said, "The path from dreams to success does exist. May you have the vision to find it, the courage to get on it, and the perseverance to follow it." Starting today, you will have until 22nd of March to work on, finalize, and submit your lenses. You can go onto the Scalenza page to read the full rules and criteria of participating in the hackathon. Our expert team will review the lenses basis creativity, technicality, and originality, and the three best lenses will win some exciting prizes. The top one would win a pair of spectacles too. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that the workshop has given you some inspiration and tools to help you channel your inner creativity and share a positive message with women in India and all across the world. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
We're seeing your questions if you have any in chat and are here to be live answering questions. Okay, I see one on
Go for it, Kaitlyn. I think there's a little bit of lag. Go for it.
We're seeing your questions if you have any in chat and are here to be live. I see a question for where can I request for Snapchat verification? If you actually go to our forum and ask, how do I become an official lens creator? Well, I guess that's actually different than your question. Snapchat verification is reserved for those who I guess identities are at such a point where other people might be trying to steal it. And I know it's definitely a case by case basis. There isn't currently a form to apply, but on our end, if you're interested in verification, it can be achieved through the official Lens Creator program. So we sent it earlier through the chat, so you can go up through it, or maybe I can find it again. But basically, if you look lensstudio.snapchat.com, go underneath to our forums or the support page page, you can put in the question, how do I become an official lens creator? And in that, you'll see that we're looking for professionals in certain different areas of expertise. And if you feel like you have those qualities, then we highly encourage you to share lenses that represent that work within the Share Your Lenses section within the forum. I also realized we were like waving a hi, we're here to answer questions, but it possibly also looks like a bye. And so we're still around for a little bit, but yeah, hi, bye. If you have questions, we're here for it. Thanks, Sharad, for joining. Awesome to see um, all sorts of talented folks leaning into augmented reality. We know, I think I was saying it before, but I've definitely seen education lenses, and I've seen a couple in particular for chemistry that were super interesting. So I think it's an interesting way to reach visual learners just so they can see things at different angles. So if you ever create a lens in regards to chemistry, we'd love to see it.
Kaitlyn, I think there's a question that says, is there a way to copy a lens that exists already and customize it for my own lens?
That's a really good question. So in general, we encourage everybody to be original, and I like that you're making your own version. Definitely admire you being inspired by other lenses that exist in the world. And I guess the way in which you can make a version currently is with our templates. So that's our highly customizable options. I think we have only over 40 of them within the Lens Studio website. But if you see one within Snapchat itself, the only way to be able to reconstruct it is really looking at each of its pieces. So for instance, like moving, a lot of them are face lenses. So moving your head to see kind of how it's attached to your face. So to see if it's like a 2D image or 3D artwork, as well as seeing what kind of interactions are there. It's really piecemeal, depends on what kind of lens you're trying to make. And we have so many guides, templates, and tutorials within our Lens Studio website where you can look into more details of getting started. But I'd also encourage you to reach out on the forums if there's a particular lens that you're interested in, so that we can give a little bit more specific feedback.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. I think there's another question on, does Lens Studio feature LiDAR and space mapping software in the creation of lenses?
Yes, we actually released LiDAR capabilities, I want to say at the end of last year. So you're able to project, well, I guess any of your art or creations onto walls, floors, tables. We have different like classifications. So you can put certain items depending on what it is on tables versus the floor and ceilings and whatnot. Obviously, you are limited to that working on iPhone 12 Pros, but we also utilize AR Core, and I think it's our depth or toy box template within Lens Studio website, where you can utilize a similar technology to be able to place things against walls and the floors on Android devices.
Awesome. Thank you, Kaitlyn. Another one on how long roughly does it take for a lens to be published on Snapchat? I think you covered this a little bit, but maybe give it some more insight on this. And is it free to publish lenses? And is there a limit to how many lenses can a single creator create?
Yes, so Lens Studio is free to download, free to use. It's also free to submit community lenses, which are viral by nature. It only costs money when you want to actually attach it to an ad campaign and ensure that a certain amount of people see the lenses. So I don't actually know the pricing on that because I'm more involved with the community lens creation side. But if you're interested, you can go to the For Business website for Snapchat and get in touch with a sales correspondent to see how much it would cost to ensure that your lens gets seen by X amount of people. And then in regards to your question of how long it goes to to be live, it also kind of depends on what kind of lens you make. So for simpler lenses where there isn't much scripting involved and not even machine learning, you should see it live within a matter of minutes. It just goes through automatic QA to make sure that it works on a variety of devices. And then if it's a sponsored lens, as I was describing before, it could take a couple extra days because you have an ad involved. And so there's not only is this lens okay for use, but they're looking at the ad in its totality. So that could take a couple of days for it to go live after you finalize the experience. And then machine learning is the most intense creation because you're building your own models to the experience. So I think that should be live within a day, but it does take a little bit longer to review.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. I think that's all the questions for now. Everyone on chat, please feel free to send more questions. We are here to answer more questions as relates to Lens Studio or how you can access the community or even the Lensathon that we have starting today for 2 weeks on the Skillenza page, which I'm going to link again on chat so that all of you can participate and perhaps win a pair of spectacles and some really cool cash prizes and some Snapchat swag.
I see one question about, are there any workshops or training courses available to help us learn how to use Lens Studio and create lenses? I know I've talked a lot about our Lens Studio website already, and there are so many templates there that you can deconstruct. But also we worked with a couple other official lens creators who have been in the chat. I know I mentioned them earlier, and we plan to release, they created specific demos for this event that we will release very shortly. And if you need inspiration for what you're going to create next, especially for the Lens-a-thon, definitely encourage you to look into their lenses. We have Persica, who did a lens on segmentation, her imagination lens. She showed you how to deconstruct that. Gauri showed how to make a hands lens within spectacles and play around with different materials. And Niyati showed her, I want to say it's an asteroid lens. Well, actually, she showed that, but then she's going to actually teach you how to make collision detection within Lens Studio. So how you can script that and make any game that you want to make. But yeah, lots of inspiration to be had out there. I think I even saw Danny, who's another official lens creator, reach out and put his username in there and said, if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to him. There's so many guides and tutorials. Definitely look around and just Google for it.
Caitlin, maybe it's almost time. So perhaps we can say goodbye for now. And please do reach out on the community page. And a very, very happy International Women's Day to all of you.
Yeah, happy International Women's Day. So happy to have you. Hope you were able to make your first lens experience, and be sure to share it, and can't wait to see what you create for the Lensathon. Bye.
Bye.